No pressure now. So the resilience is about to kick in. When Ross phoned me a number of months ago to ask me to do this, my initial instinct was, why would anyone want to hear my story? It's a natural reaction. I pride myself in doing my job, getting on with my business, and not really telling a story. But I automatically thought, well, there's a massive opportunity to share something with a new audience, step myself outside of my comfort zone, grow, learn, and actually network and create new opportunities. So with a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of subtle coercion, I agreed to this, and certainly I'm not regretting that at this point in time in terms of where I'm standing. So today, for the next 20-25 minutes, I'm going to share with you some of my journey. Not all of it, because some of it's a little bit raw still. There's still a few challenges with that, and how I've coped with the mental resilience and how I've shaped that through my own journey, and some of those more anecdotal incidents that I'm sure some will make you laugh, some might make you cry, and certainly some of them did with me. But just in terms of just a brief, and I've got a few notes in my phone just to remind me of myself as to what I'm going to talk about is, I know we've had the definition of mental resilience, but I just want to talk around my viewpoint in terms of mental resilience. First of all, I am not a mental health or a health practitioner, so I'm just saying that out there right now. I'm not giving you guidance in terms of a formal qualification here. It's just really my experience. But really the most part of what I'm going to talk about is my journey through sport and laterally into business, and some of the lessons that I've learned and some of the challenges that I've met along the way, and also leave you with a few tick points in terms of a checklist in terms of what I do, whether that works for you or whether that works for me. No one size fits all, but certainly there's some things that I've learned along the way that have helped me in terms of that. So who am I? You've had a brief introduction in terms of who I am. Yes, I am a multi-sport international. Taking it back from the dual sport of hockey and football, I played 4 different sports at underage level internationally when I was at school. So I'm hockey international, football international, athletics international, and a badminton international. So I had talent, there's no doubt about that. I never shouted about that though, I just went out and did it and enjoyed it and had fun. Obviously laterally I was a hockey goalkeeper for 7 years with 75 international caps, played in the World Cup, the highest level that you can get apart from the Olympics, and I will share with you the mental resilience of the heartbreak of not qualifying for Olympics. And obviously in my twilight years I jumped ship from hockey into football for the last few years of my athletic career, and really enjoyed a different environment in that as well. So there are some challenges around that, about how you bring yourself back from such a high in terms of a sport that you were the best to coming into a sport that you weren't, and kind of the challenges around that. Who am I is also a business leader, and it's taken me a long time to recognise that, because a lot of people when I worked in hockey saw me as the athlete, whereas now the transition into working with an organisation that I don't play the sport, I'm a business leader, and that change management structure in terms of my skill set, not my gender, my skill set is what sets me apart in terms of that as well. So a few anecdotal aspects around that too. I know we've had a brief definition of mental resilience. For me, it's really the capacity to recover from difficulties and challenges and stresses. Obviously the ability to cope with adversity. We've all had that, we all have pain in our lives. We all go through highs and lows, but some people have that bounce back ability more than others. So why? Do you learn it? Are you born with it? Is it nature? Is it nurture? Those are all questions that I certainly have had, and I've reflected when I'm preparing for this about what is it about me that makes me think differently, because I do think differently to some people around me in the environment that I'm in. So why do some people accomplish their goals and others fail? What makes the difference? Usually we answer those questions by saying it's their talent. They're talented, they're better at that, they've worked harder. But actually for me, talent and maybe intelligence in terms of their mental aspect of that don't play as big a role as you think. For me, it's about the mental resilience and how they actually deal with the challenges that come along, and that's certainly my experience in terms of that. I wasn't the most talented individual in terms of goalkeeper. I was a goalkeeper, I should have said that. I was better at getting myself in the way of the ball, was how I described it. Whether that was my head, my arm, my backside, my foot, any part of me, that's how I described it. But ultimately I was doing myself a disservice, because there was something good about me in terms of my mental ability to deal with that. So it's something that I keep laughing about now, but actually I've got to recognise that I did have talent, but actually the mental resilience that I was able to bounce back from the lows was certainly something that challenged me. My journey, I'm guilty of sometimes in life becoming so focused on the finish line that I failed to find joy in the journey. And that's something that I've learned as I got older, is I didn't recognise the graft, the hard work, the effort that I put in to actually achieve the goals. I just achieved the goal, moved on, achieved the goal, moved on. It's great. And actually there's a lesson to learn, and that's something that I've really learned a lot in terms of my business work, is I'm enjoying the effort, I'm enjoying the hard work that you put in, much more than actually the finished product. And again, that's about lessons learned, and how I've kind of changed my mental resilience and my thought processes to actually deal with the business environment as opposed to sport. But I take you back to my childhood, and I know I had a conversation with a lady who came into the room earlier today, and I have a lot to thank my parents for. I was a really active child, as you can imagine. I played for sports, was outdoor constantly. I was keen to learn and try new things, and by that I mean try everything and ask questions constantly. It's much to my parents' annoyance, I'm sure. But through that, I was a problem solver. As a 4-year-old, I taught myself how to learn how to ride a bike. Because I had an older brother who had a bike. Yes, there it is. I do, I'm a keen cyclist. I had an older brother who had this little bike with hard wheels, and it just lay in the garden, and we had a little slope down our driveway. And I started at the top of the slope, and I actually taught myself how to ride a bike because I problem solved, and I was resilient enough to actually, I fell off a few times, but I actually got back on the bike and learned how to ride a bike, much to my parents' amusement. I was a risk taker. I climbed trees, I fell out of trees, I cut myself. I wasn't wrapped in cotton wool. But for me, the supportive family environment was the one aspect to me that showed my resilience at an early age, because no matter how many times I fell down or fell out of a tree or tripped myself up or fell off a bike, I got back on. I got back up. And my question to myself has been, why? I think part of it is my inbuilt kind of thought processes and my personality, but also part of it was my parents made that a safe environment for me. It was okay to not be able to do something, because I had the ability to say I want to do it, and I worked hard to try and do it. So I keep going back to my childhood and how that actually shaped me. And I am grateful for my parents for giving me that environment. I also am grateful for my brother, who was 4 years older than me, and I must say my goalkeeping skills were honed as a young child in the garden because it was self-preservation. The brother who actually was kicking football at me as a 4 or 5-year-old. So he's got a lot to answer for my success in my career as well. I've had a few split noses and a few injuries from that, but again, it didn't stop me wanting to be better than what I was. So I had a challenge and I wanted to be better than him. I had something to aspire to, a role model, and those sorts of things come back in terms of your resilience as well. But it is about, your shape in your childhood in terms of that. The early years in sport for me, as I said, I had 4 sports where I really enjoyed it, and I got to play them all. It was a logistical nightmare juggling those different sports across a year, and academic kind of suffered a little bit, and I didn't really like the academic lifestyle. I really wanted to just go out and play sport. And there were many lows in that period of time, because it was a challenge for me to decide which sports I wanted to focus on. I didn't really want to give up anything. I enjoyed the mix and the culture and the different friendships and the resilience of winning something or losing something and coming back from that. But when I was 15, I chose hockey. Don't ask me why. I think it was the sport that we were playing in school, and that was the reason why I ended up in the hockey environment. But for me, in terms of those 4 different sports, that shaped my ability in terms of the goalkeeper. It shaped my team ethic, my work culture, my able to juggle my time management, but also it enabled me to fail and learn and grow, because I didn't win everything. It's not about the winning again, it's about trying to be the best that I could be, and I recognised that I wasn't brilliant at everything, but I just wanted to be the best that I could be. And hopefully that positive aspect in terms of my outlook has helped shape me in terms of my resilience moving forward as well. So for me, I suppose, to shape that little bit of the story, my mental resilience was evident from such a young age, but I don't know why. I was questioning why, and trying to understand what it was that made me think that way in terms of my thought processes. I then took a radical decision in life as an 18-year-old to say, university is not for me. None of my brother and sister hadn't gone to university, So it wasn't really a big deal, but then I decided, oh, I made a mistake. So I ended up deciding I was going to go to university at Jordantown. But after a year, I decided I was going to be more radical and go to America. I'm an 18-year-old, on my own. Again, strength and resilience to actually make that decision as a young person. But it's because I was offered a scholarship in hockey. And my dad's words to me were, go and try it, what's the worst you can do? You can come home and you don't like it. And again, it comes back to the parental responsibility, is that if my dad hadn't said that to me, I probably wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have taken the risk, because it was easier to stay at home and it was easier to have that lifestyle here, where I was in an environment where I was good at what I did, whereas I stepped out of the comfort zone. I went to another country with an accent like mine from the north coast of Antrim. They really did not understand a word I said. I walked off the plane into 35-degree heat to put on a goalkeeping kit to train in 35-degree heat. I could easily, after the first day, said I'm going home. But something inside me said no, because this is an opportunity for me to learn more about myself, to learn more about the game, to actually learn about a different culture and embrace that. And again, the mental resilience kicked in and said, I'm not going to fail, because I want to actually make the most of this. I lasted a year. The reason why I lasted a year was because I didn't like what the academic side of it was. I loved the sport, I loved the environment, but I also missed home. And I don't have a problem saying that. My family are close. I was thousands of miles away, and I missed home. So therein lies the story, in that I grew over that year. I enjoyed that environment. I had highs and lows. I cried a lot. I played well. I got selected for the Irish senior team the day I walked home. So for me, it was about that journey and that opportunity to stay in that environment, to be the best that I could be, to be showcased as one of the best goalkeepers in the NCAA, as it is in America, to make the All-State team. That triggered something back home, and when I came home was the day I got selected for the Irish senior team. So that was back in 2000. Wow, that's gone great. This is great. Wow. As a 19-year-old, stepping into that environment where I was fat as a goalkeeper. I had eaten everything that was going in America. I was just enjoying the life. Albeit, but I did train hard and just ate more. So I was walking back into an environment where I wasn't really fit enough to be in the senior national team. I had a lot of work to do. There were goalkeepers above me who were better, and all of a sudden the instinct kicked in. I need to start to work hard. I need to start to bounce back from, I've enjoyed a life of a year of having fun playing sport, but this is serious now. So 2000, I had my first cap in San Diego against America, on the 28th of February 2000. I still remember it. We won 3-0. Best game of my life. Didn't cheat as a goalkeeper. I thought, yeah, this is great. But actually, therein lies the resilience point, is I didn't play for another year. I was on the bench. I had a lesson to learn. Yeah, they give you your first cap, but then you're on the bench. And that's hard as a goalkeeper, because you're an individual in that environment. But when you make a mistake, everyone sees it. So for me, I struggled with the mental aspect of my preparation for that, my ability to cope with that, and my willingness to want to play, but at the same time being part of the team culture. But I persevered, I worked hard, I knuckled down, I lost a lot of weight, I got fit, I enjoyed the environment, and for me, I got selected for the World Cup squad in 2002. So 2 years of hard graft. Again, I was selected as the number 2 goalkeeper. There was a more experienced goalkeeper in front of me. Perth 2002 World Cup, playing against Australia, in their own back garden as the current World Olympic champions. I wasn't planning to play, so I had freedom to work hard, enjoy the experience. Lo and behold, the other goalkeeper had a mare in the first game. We lost to England 3-1. You can tell what happens next. So, chance came. I got 5 games in the World Cup in Perth. One of those was against the Australians in a packed capacity crowd in their back garden with player of the match performance. But the resilience that I had to show to work hard to get there, but also to not freak out at the opportunity. Rabbit in headlights, anyone? For me, it's about my power of my opportunity and the power of my thought processes to not let the occasion get to me. So I had that player of the match experience on one night. I played against Holland the next day. 0-0 at half time. 5-0 down after 10 minutes into the second half. I got called off. Picture the scene. Head and hands in the dugout. That is back down to earth back. Again, my fault. We let 5 goals in. That's the automatic reaction you have. And the ability to turn around after that and say, how can I bounce back? Because that was a low point from a high the night before to a real low the next day. And you have those discrepancies in terms of how you feel. Elation, great, I was playing a match against the Aussies, this is wonderful. Standing ovation, great. I was still in that moment. Walked out the next day, blown away. So yeah, that was a real test of character. I took a long time to recover from that. I don't have any shame in saying I spent time with a psychologist after that, because it was how I blamed myself in terms of my preparation, my ability, what I was doing. Even though it was a team game, still responsibility for me. We lost that game 6-0, by the way. And you know, for me, that experience in terms of World Cup was a highlight, but also a low point. The other goalkeeper retired straight after that tournament, so I was still kind of fast forward into the number 1 position, and had 5 years after that where I enjoyed that experience. But I had heartbreak as well in terms of Olympic qualifier in 2004. We were in Auckland, New Zealand, and we missed out in qualification to the World Cup by a golden goal against the American team in the final game. And that was my decision then. I was going to retire. Couldn't do it again. After that tournament, done. But then I got home on the plane, started a new job, found a new life, and said, nah, I can't walk away from this. It's unfinished business. But again, what made me think that is how my positive outlook. It was an opportunity. I learned from it. I want to go again. So the lesson in that for me is there were highs, there were lows, but actually what was it intrinsically in me and internally in me that made me want to put myself through that pain again, because it was going to be pain. But I also had the enjoyment of saying I wanted to be better, I wanted to get better. It was a new team, and let's keep going. So I kept going to 2006. My final tournament for the Irish international team was in Rome for World Cup qualifier. Heartbreak. Didn't qualify. Decision made, definite retirement. So I went in the lash for 2 days. You've got to enjoy it while you're there. But I came home, decided I wasn't going to play club hockey either. I was done with hockey. I wanted a different challenge in life. I was just going to focus on work. The pain was too hard to talk about. And I know I had a conversation earlier, that was one of my downfalls at the time, was I didn't talk about the pain. I just bottled it up and got on with it. And there's a lesson for us all in that, is that's not the right approach. So for me it was a case of, I eventually started talking about it, but then another opportunity presented itself. The Northern Ireland International Football manager came knocking on the door, because I played football when I was younger, heard it retired. Says, would you like to come and join the squad? I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm looking for more punishment. So I hadn't played football in about 10 years. Goalkeeping's the same in football as it is in hockey, so what's the worst that can happen? Forgetting that it's a bigger goal, the ball's a little bit bigger, a lot more space for people to chip you. It was a real culture shock in terms of getting involved in that again, but I really enjoyed the new challenge, the new environment, and I didn't take it seriously. As in, I took it seriously when I was training, but I didn't put any pressure on myself. So the pressure point of hockey and where I was at to where I got into football was completely different. I was enjoying it, I was having fun, it was no pressure for me. Maybe it's an example of the resilience that I showed in terms of not dealing with the hockey environment, and actually showing resilience and getting back in a different sport is probably avoidance. I probably still avoided the hockey conversation. But I firmly believe that I had opportunities, I took those opportunities didn't just quite work out the way I wanted it to, but there was a new opportunity that presented itself. So I played in the Northern Ireland football squad from 2006 to 2009, number of qualification tournaments, and thoroughly enjoyed it. But the body got sore. I was throwing myself around a football pitch like a youngster. And I was touching 30 at that stage. I just had to give it up. So for me, there were a couple of things around my coping mechanisms and what I've learned through that. Obviously a couple of highs around the World Cup and my experience in that, the lows of not qualifying. What makes you get back on the merry-go-round and keep going was that I wanted to learn, grow. I still had lots more. I'm not the finished article. One of my coaches once asked me, can you name the best game you've ever played in? And I was like, yeah, quickly, yeah. He said, I asked that to another athlete and their answer was they haven't played it yet. And that stuck with me because actually I hadn't, because nothing's ever perfect. I still had so much more to grow. And I've equated that into business. You think about what's your best day in work. It hasn't happened yet. I'm still searching for the work and the ethic in terms of what I'm trying to do. And that really for me is where kind of the athletic career ended, was a bit of a struggle because everyone saw me as the athlete, and I alluded to that earlier in terms of the Ulster hockey experience. In 2009 I was approached to apply for the job for Ulster Hockey, not by Ulster Hockey themselves, but by someone else outside of the sport. And I thought long and hard about it because I'm passionate about the sport. I played it. I'd had some harsh realities in the sport as an athlete, but I actually didn't know whether I could work in it. But I saw it as an opportunity. I took the opportunity, was fortunate to get the job, and feel that I played a big part in changing the mindset and the role within Ulster Hockey in terms of where they're at, and hopefully there's a legacy left in my time there. But it wasn't easy. I was tasked with amalgamating the men's and women's branches into one organisation when I joined. You can imagine getting a men and women degree in anything. So got one step forward, 2 steps back, and actually showing the resilience to keep going with the plan that was there, the purpose that was there, and getting people to buy into that was a challenge. I enjoyed every minute of it until 2013, when I was presented with what was certainly for me a life-changing experience through a staff issue. I took 3 months off work at that time because, and it was the first time I'd been off work or school in my life. And this is the first time I'm sharing that story with anyone, because it was, for me, one of the lowest points in my life, but actually has helped me grow and become a better person because of it. So you enter a grievance process within an organisation, and how that's dealt with is normally pretty tough. I'm not going to go into details in terms of that because it's closed now, but actually for me to recognise that I needed to take time off, my mental health wasn't in a good place, was a bit of a tough call, because I prided myself in, we get on with it, we do the business, but yeah, I deal with things, but I have a positive outlook. It's the way I've always been. I see opportunities. So for me to take a step back and say, no, I can't cope with that, was a big deal. But I had some really good friends around me. I had some really good support who got me to talk about it, and that's the lesson, and I talked about it, and I actually shared how I felt. And I went back to work 3 months later, still when the issue wasn't resolved. That issue took 3 years to resolve. So I was working in an environment where that was still ongoing. So to show up every day and be resilient, to do the best that I could for Ulster Hockey was a challenge. But I always said that I was going to control what I could control, not what anyone else can control. So that's where the mental aspect for me kicked in. I was going to do the best that I could every single day, but leave it at that. That came to a head in 2016. Which is probably the same time as my dad was diagnosed with a serious illness. I was sitting on a beach on my own in Cyprus, and the first day of my holiday I'd taken myself off for a week. My mum phoned me and said, your dad has a life-limiting illness, what are you going to do? Like, what? I'm sitting on a beach. I was trying to process the work environment at that stage, which is why I took myself off for a week. The hardest thing for me to do was stay there for a few days and actually process it, because my instinct was to come home. But my mum convinced me that I needed to sort my head out, in other words, and come home. So thankfully he's still here. He's responded well to treatment, and for me, being back home and in the hospital environment and still receiving phone calls from work was the moment that I decided Ulster Hockey had taken over my life and it was time to make a change. So part of that journey for me, I was successful in getting onto a UK Sport Leading Edge programme, which is for CEOs in sport. And that's really for me what was one of the things that helped me display the resilience that I had displayed through the hockey process. And actually be able to have a network around me that supported me, but also learn about me and grow and display more mental resilience in terms of being a leader in that environment. And that was a challenge, but I was out of my comfort zone. I was willing to learn and willing to grow. I had one really life-changing experience on that programme. Was I took an international visit to Ghana. As a female in Ghana, and I'm not playing the gender card at all, I'm not like that. Females are not respected at all in that country. And I was tasked with going to speak to their sports minister about developing women in sport. So you can imagine this sports minister is a larger than life guy. I was in the room with 3 guys with me, and I was only female, and he talked to 3 guys and didn't speak to me. What's the worst that can happen? He didn't listen to me, that's fine. So my mindset was to say, that's not going to beat me. I'm going to actually galvanise the troops in Ghana and actually get them to see the message. And that's what I did over my 6-day visit. Was those people inspired me because they didn't have everything in the world, but their outlook was very positive. They were playing hockey in a dirt pitch with 1 hockey ball, 60 people. You don't need the perfect hockey pitch to actually have fun and enjoy. So that was a turning point for me. Was I came home from that in November 2016 and decided I needed a new challenge. I needed to do something different. And the mental resilience for me to actually apply for the Northern Credit Union job, keep me right in time there.
You're well over, but keep going.
I'll finish up first. I'll go on the checklist. So you can talk, I'm going to talk myself and talk loads. The Northern Credit Union job came up and I did look at it. But I thought, and I know with a cricketer in the room, that's a male sport. I'm not going to go for that. But again, something inside me kicked and I thought, why not? What's the worst that can happen? I don't get it. But if I don't step myself outside my comfort zone, I'm always going to stay in the role and the safety blanket of Ulster hockey and maybe not enjoy what I'm doing. So I applied for the job, long story short, got the job. Only female in the organisation. Don't see that as an issue because every single male in that organisation embraced me for my skill set and for who I am and the mental resilience and toughness that I show on a daily basis, because there are challenges there. But I'm in an environment where there is joined up thinking and people do accept me for the business skills as opposed to the mindset that's there. But I will summarise here. I had a lot more to say there, but in terms of the checklist for mental resilience, I know I've probably talked around a few of those issues. The learnings that I've taken out of what I just said, and I could have said so many different examples for you, was to celebrate the effort as well as the achievement. It was the one lesson that I've taken away in terms of everything that I've done in my career. I never really celebrated my achievement in sport. But people now say to me, "You've played hockey for Ireland 75 times, that's isn't it? Really?" It is, and I've got to recognise that. Ensure I continue to have a growth mindset, because every day is a school day in my mind, and it's about growing and learning every single day. And failure, as I failed many times, I've picked the ball out of the back of the net so many times, thinking the world's on my shoulders. I've got things wrong in business, but actually that's an opportunity for me to grow as well, and for others to grow around me. And be okay if I fail, as long as I've given 100% effort. That's all my mantra is if I go in every day to work and give everything that I have that day, that's as good as I can be. Simple, but effective. The one thing I'm still struggling with is to work with my feelings and not against them. So it's okay to have a sad day. I really had a frustrating day today. It's okay, because we all have that. We all have pain. But to not lose sight of a bigger picture. So for me, I've got a bigger picture. I know where I want to get to, but actually I still need to be in the here and now. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Today is really uncomfortable, but I'm comfortable doing it. Does that make sense? And the other thing for me is, which is one thing that a friend of mine has always said, be where your feet are. Because that's the lesson that my dad's experience taught me, is I wasn't ever there 100% when I was with my family at times, because work was in the background or whatever. So it's about being where your feet are, being in that moment and enjoying every single second of it. So there are mental resilience lessons. There are people who have had more challenge than I have had. I've had some highs and some lows, but my positive outlook is there's always an opportunity.